Okay, so this is the what would I call this? Okay, this is the Beauty and the Beast armor, part 4. Hopefully this is gonna be my last time doing it. I literally have to finish this by tomorrow. And what else is what else is there really? So let's see what I think. Alright, so let's see. I think so far what I worked a little bit was the edges here. It was a little bit too sharp. Um, let's see, I don't know if you can see this correctly. So yeah, like that. So the edge on this armor here is it's supposed to be one piece, but somehow it just looks like two separate pieces. And I tried to make an adjustment, but after a while I gave up because after a while this is oil, keep smudging and smudging. Oh, speaking of oil, let's see. This is the media. It's the Holbein linseed oil, and it's water soluble. You have to make sure that this is water soluble. If you're using water soluble paint, oil paint, make sure you buy a water soluble linseed oil. Do not use a regular linseed oil. Okay. Yeah, so that is, so the original color is just like a very pale, I don't know if you can see it, like a pale yellow. And this is the one that I created from that. You know, as you can see, a very kind of a nice deep orangey yellow, golden. It's like almost honey. And it smells sweet too, which is very fascinating. So what I did was I thinned it with dots of linseed oil on each oil painting. I mean each oil paint, which is this is white. This time I'm gonna switch the paint a bit. Persian blue and burnt sienna. And this part was a bit on the dark side, so I started punching it a bit with the lights here. Um, but as long as this light is not lighter than this light, I'm okay. And then the face I haven't done yet still. I'm not too worried about it because I know that can be taken care of. And what my plan of attack for now is, since I have already a burnt sienna and a Persian blue, I kind of want to touch up on the mask. So I'm gonna take care of all the reds, and then once the reds are done, I'm gonna work on the gold, which with the gold I have made some mistakes. These two beads here, I made it green, but I have regrets now, and I want them yellow. I mean, which gold, and this one too. This is the part of the bell thing here, and I know it doesn't make sense, but still, I want it coated with gold, and the dragon here, I want it coated with gold, but I wanted it to be a different gold, so I mean, not as yellow as these golds, but maybe more like an antique, those corroded by acid kind of bronzy, weird gold, like this one. And I'm okay with that. But so far, now the other thing that I'm trying to have a dilemma in decision making is these two beads here. Um, as you can see, it's kind of like green. And maybe I will stick it like that. I will leave the green there, and that's okay. But I don't know what the heck what to do with these ribbons. What color should I do the ribbons? I mean, pink is so lame. Blue is okay, but already the background is all blue and blue and blue. And then there's green beans, which is all on the blue side. No, it's not a good thing. And then red, not a good thing either because this is red. So I need some kind of contrast. So these two ribbons are the one that's causing me headache right now. I mean, I could leave it white and then make sure that the ribbon continues on flying. That's the one I want to do. I want to eventually flipping in the air, like there, just maybe a one strand. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have yellow. Also, the only color I didn't purchase for a water-soluble oil is I don't have a yellow oil paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm going to use acrylic base first, and then I don't know, I think I can actually mix acrylic with the water-soluble oil, so we'll see. That's not my priority. My priority right now is this guy. Although this guy is almost done, but I want to make sure I'm going to finish it off. It's really hard to make a decision on these things right now because I think I've never done this technique before, and I never really used this well, never is strong word, but I haven't used this water soluble oil medium as much. I mean, gosh, it's like once a year. Yeah, literally once a year. Hardly I ever used it, so okay. And that's what makes me hesitate a lot. And hopefully by doing this continuously and liking the result, I'll keep using it. And that's not a hope, actually, that should be my plan. All right, let's get to the red. I'm gonna use this crappy, but good old crappy brush, synthetic brush. And just in case, a napkin here to rest my hands so I don't get too dirty and smudge the paint underneath by mistake. I keep forgetting that since it's oil, it doesn't dry fast, or it won't dry until the next morning. I have to make sure that I work from top to bottom, left to right. Otherwise, my hand will be smudging everything until I create those. I forgot those sticks, but there's a stick where you can actually rest your hand as you paint over it, so it's like my hands are steady. But I don't have that right now, so I'm thinking of using some kind of PVC pipe. If I even have anything. No, actually, I don't even have a PVC pipe around the house. I'll have to figure out if I can find a stick outside from a wood and chop it down or something from a branch. Okay. The coolest thing about, I think, I noticed using this oil, what it does is it actually is the most excellent blender. It's almost like when I go digitally and when I paint digital, it's I think there's a tool in Clip Studio and also in Photoshop. There's something called a blend tool or a smudge. It's almost like that, and sometimes I feel like when you add color, it's like you're airbrushing it almost. And I always wondered how on earth these masters back in the days, they have this beautiful gradation, like almost like it's airbrushed effect all in their oils. And now I know it's just like what I'm doing right here in the ear. I slowly add it and then I just brush it down, and it just blends in perfectly. Another thing is like her features. I just tested it yesterday with her nose here. Just watered down burnt umber, really, like literally like a super watered down burnt umber oil. Just smudged it on and then just brushed it softly, just like airbrushing it. And I got this very soft like nose, soft, nice, nice round nose. And that was pretty cool. So yeah, I know I was like really complaining about in the beginning how how I dislike this water mixable oil, but I'm finding out that if I have the right kind of how shall I say this? If I have the right kind of, gosh, it's so hard to talk and paint on. I'm losing my train of thought. What was I talking about? If I had the right kind of, oh yeah, okay. Let's talk about the oil. So for the setting, first of all, paper. Gotta have the right paper surface. Um, I used with the kitty, in the case of kitty, that I'm gonna finish also by tomorrow. And in the case of kitty, the paper I used was actually just Bristol Smooth, where I do my comics on it. I was being cheap. I just printed it out because I didn't want to. I want to save time and not do the line work, so I can just like glued it on a piece of. No, I didn't glue it, but I actually sprayed it with some kind of fixative. And then I started using just acrylics. And man, I'm telling you, doing acrylics on that surface versus doing acrylics on this surface, this is a surface it's called a mixed media surface. It's a very heavyweight surface. I mean, it's not very, but compared to in a paper standard, it's heavyweight. I would say the GAMS would be about 184 pounds. This paper right here. It's by the brand Strathmore, and I think it's probably a 400 series. That's another interesting thing about Strathmore. For the longest time, I mean, I'm talking about like years, like 20, 15 years at least. No, let's say more than that. Yeah, over 20 years. I mean, I've been using Strathmore. And the funny thing is, I never really read the labels, so they would say, I would just look at Strathmore drawing paper, Strathmore pastel, or whatever, and found out that if you read carefully, there's a number on top of each Strathmore, and it starts from 300. They call it 300 series, 400 series, and then there's a 500 series. And of course, the higher the number, the higher the quality. So if you ever buy the standard cheap 300 Strathmore papers, I learned the hard way, like just draw on them but don't paint on them because it ain't gonna really give a nice surface. And what I mean surface is the way I gouge, gouge is not the right gauge, suss out if it's a good paper or not is when I lay down a paint, there's some kind of enough tooth to it that it will, suck the paint up, and also it won't, it's a very good surface. It will absorb it, and yet in the same time, it'll be smooth enough that I can do blending work and all that. Yeah, this is a 400 series, so that's why it's pretty good. The other one, with the one with the kitty, it's a 300 series. It's smooth, so it's already starting with a smooth surface, and I coated it with like another fixative, which is making it even smoother. And then acrylics on top of that, it's just not working. So yeah, it's not a good thing overall. I was initially planning to work on this way earlier during the day. Um, if it's always painting during the day, it's better because the color you can accurately see what it really should be. And I set up my studio where it's a north-facing studio, and the light is always consistent during the day, so the colors are going to be really accurate during the day. And nighttime, like now, it's a crapshoot. It's hit and miss. I try to optimize it where, I have a warm light streaming down on the top ceiling, and then there's a full light that's streaming down here, so it should be a fine balance. But I think luminosity, color-wise, it's pretty okay. It's accurate enough. However, the only problem is if a bright light is blasting down onto a piece, things tend to look really bright. So I would end up making the piece darker and darker, but during the day, when I see it, it's way too dark and the colors are way too dull. But that's where I have to really watch out. I have to make sure that yeah, it doesn't get that, which is hard. But anyway, the reason why I actually started late was I was really stuck in doing this panel for a comic. Oh, it can be a bitch sometimes, especially if the writing is bad. But anyway, I'm so glad I got that over with. I'm done with it, and now I can focus all my attention on just what I wanted to do. The only thing I have to fight now is actually not fall asleep. I've been really tired lately, so now gonna go back and chisel in some of the darks. I really do like this brush. However, the drawback of this brush is it can't really do fine lines, so I might have to switch it out and use a thin line. Another really cool thing is I just like the fact that the paint doesn't dry as fast like acrylics. Whenever I took breaks in between acrylic paintings, like let's say I have to eat lunch or dinner, I get so nervous because in the back of my mind I know there's a palette full of paint on this, and yeah, I just hate wasting paint because they cost money and all that, and I don't know, I just get really, always have to make sure that I eat pretty fast, and then or sometimes actually skip eating. But with oil, I mean, I don't have to worry about that because you can just still, I can even sleep on it. And then I won't have to worry about, oh, do I have to get the right color or the texture? And then sometimes I forget, but at least for one day, it will still stay dry. If it's a water soluble oil. If it's a regular oil, man, you guys, you've got like at least 2 or 3 days. However, the cleaning is such a bitch, so that's why as much as I liked oil, I stopped it, and I've just been using watercolor nonstop, but I'm coming back to it, and yeah, it's really cool. Oh, so I just remember why the other reason was it was because it's unhealthy, so toxic. I was tired of smelling the fumes. And if you use the expensive oil brands, well, the not the one, actually mine is an expensive one, but it's a water soluble one. But if you use, gosh, I remember I used to use Winsor Newton, um, just regular oil, and that one, man, that one was, when I get it on my hands, just the color, and it will stay on my skin for 7 days. Like, and this is me just washing myself. You can scrub it, and it's still staying. I used to have it all over my arms. Gosh, sometimes my legs during summer. Yeah, man, it sucked. I didn't like that. I always felt a little bit worried, although they say, oh, it's not it's not that entirely bad, except for the cadmiums. If you have that on your hands, then that's bad. But other than that, you should be safe. As long as you're not touching turpentine. But still, it bothered me that something like that would stay on you for stain for 7 days. You just can't get rid of the stain. I mean, I'm thinking it's got to be doing something to your body, right? So, and then the only way that bloody paint, oil paint, that would go away is what after 7 days, the skin literally absorbs it. That's the only way it actually disappeared. How terrible does it sound? Your skin is your skin is absorbing paint, literally. Anyway, this is so cool because this is a very, if you look at the palette, it's a very dull gray blue. I mean, it's Persian blue and you dull it, and I think it's mixed in with a little bit of burnt sienna here. And yet, when I put it on the red paint, it looks almost like a bright blue. So I do like that play, in between play, and I now have regrets putting the blue paint on this part. I should have used it as a rim light. Now let's put a highlight. I want to make it a dull blue, but I have this feeling that if I put a highlight here, it's gonna be almost a very bright. Actually, no, it's not. Interesting. Okay. Let's might as well smudge it along. And because it's oil, I can really smudge it. Just wipe my brush down here on paper and then just smudge it. It's almost like I feel like, that's the word I was looking for. Almost feels like I'm gonna put a touch of burnt umber. I mean, burnt sienna. When I was working with pastels, you know how you smudge. You put a layer of color and then with your finger you can just smudge the pastels. That's what it feels like. Awesome, there you have it. And add a little dark blue right here. Maybe a little bit darker. Yep, we already did. Okay, that's a bit dark, but I can always fix that later on with adding more white. Now let's add white. Okay, here we go. A blue white. Yep, very bright. I mean, so there's a between this, there's a break. I'm gonna just mop my brush a bit and wet it with water and get this to blend in. So I'm basically smudging them again. Except this guy. I want this guy to stay so, and that's okay. You guys can stay bright. Okay. Then gonna mix the white again and make this a bit even whiter. Touch water, make it whiter. Let's make it there you go. It's a bit too pointy here, but first mess around with the sides here and then get back to it. Especially this guy's. I'm using a bit of again burnt sienna to give that. Now for this white, let's blend it in. Blend the edges. If I want, maybe I could just lift it off. Just water down Persian blue. Glaze it a bit more around here. Way too bright. And then slightly glaze around here. Then Let's create a blue glaze on the shadows here. But if I do that, it's creating a weird, just blending into the flesh here, and I don't know if I want that. So let's do this. Okay. Maybe I can do a bounce light and do the same like on the top. I'll do a blue light. Yeah, actually that's not bad. Just bring it out. As long as it was a bit darker than before. Definitely where the fangs are, I need to make it really dark so they can be rimmed by, so they can be better delineated. So I definitely need, and I keep saying this, but I need a lighter brush. I mean a smaller brush. Persian blue to the rescue. Thin brush. Put water. Okay, here we go. Just need to sharpen the edges a bit. Basically what I'm doing is I'm putting occlusion lights. Should have thought of that. I have to make sure it's not so cheesy looking. I don't want it to look cartoony at the end. There you have it. There's your blues. Just a lot of blue grays actually. I always try to wash the small fine brushes best as I can because they don't last long, and I want to make sure that they last long. And they're the most important part actually because they chisel out the details. Now back to my other one. I'm gonna use a smaller one. Another one is like a little square brush. I love this brush. This is the only one I have. I think it's called what's this called? Shader. It's a shader number 2. Looks like a little bright, um, very square. Using a bit of burnt umber because the blue here seems a bit cheesy. I want it to kind of blend in better with I want it to blend in better with the blues. The blues don't stand out so much. Much better. Just play with a little bit on the ones that are touching the edges. And then maybe go back with Persian blue and sharpen the edges a bit more. black line. I want that black line to show. I don't know why, but this reminds me of for some reason. This reminds me of Winnie the Pooh. Kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh, but just really messed up version of it. Let's see if I can. Oof. It's way too bright. However, the good news is when they dry, if the layer is thin enough, it will blend in with the paint below. So it's square down. I shouldn't have done that. I think I can wash it off with water. Okay, it's pretty good. Um, I was hoping to avoid this, but I think it's inevitable. I'm gonna have to bust out my cadmium red. In the meantime, I'm gonna scrape this paint off. Just need a little bit of it. A little bit of goes a long way with this 8-tier. Right on. Now we're gonna go back to. I'm actually not even using oil for this. I mean linseed oil. I'm just going straight, just with water. It's kind of glazing it, so Well, I am way too sleepy. I'm gonna just call it a day and wake up tomorrow in the morning and early. Bright and early. I have a guest coming tomorrow, so I'm gonna clean the house a bit and then get to work. So see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much. It was been fun. Adios.